Welcome back, guys. Tonight, I'm going to present to you a deeper understanding of what I have coined as breakdown and rebuild. I talk about this in my book, Rise from the Ashes, A Scorpio's Guide to Self-Esteem and Rebirth. For those of you who have read the physical copy, when I talk about the pages of specific chapters that I have given you, I want you to go to those chapters and reread them. Obviously, those of you who have purchased the audio version of my book, this is not something that you need to worry about. I want to start at the beginning, but before I do, I just want to let you guys know that you are where you are. And when I began my breakdown and rebuild, prior to that, back in 2010, there was a lot of information I was not ready for. There were many people who would try to educate me on specific things or give me advice, and I couldn't hold that space. I could not receive the information at that particular time. And it's okay. I don't want you to question yourself, be mean to yourself, or send me emails about the same thing for 5 years. It's okay. You're not ready to receive what I have to give you. And you can always go back to my sessions. You can always go back to my books 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now, whatever it takes. And I just wanted to give you that because I know many of you guys are in a space right now of frustration that you're just not able to apply the information. You've read my books 3 times, 4 times. Some of you have read it 10 times. And you just cannot understand how to effectively follow the guides that I have given you. So tonight, I am just going to take it a little bit deeper, and hopefully this will be beneficial to many of you, whether you are just beginning your 45-day transformation or you have completed it and now you are just rising and maintaining or creating an even more effective spiritual practice for yourself. Wherever you are, I'm sure that this information that I'm going to give you tonight will be very beneficial. So let's start off with what is the breakdown and rebuild. In order to discuss breakdown and rebuild, we have to know what we're breaking down and what we're rebuilding. My ruling planets, Pluto and Mars, are such a perfect example because they are the planets of destruction and regeneration, purging out what is no longer necessary, and in its place, rebuilding what is necessary. What is necessary in order to have a healthy concept of self, self-esteem, self-worth, which all will enable you to attain all of the amazing abundance that life has to offer. So how did you get your personality? Where are you guys right now? Well, how you think is a collective of your thoughts, your memories. They are patterns that your brain has developed in order to keep you safe, in order to keep you familiar. Your brain is so smart. It takes snapshots of all the events that happen in your life, and it creates a catalog. And within that catalog, every memory that you have, every deep emotional experience that you have, it downloads the information, and from that information, you create an automatic response. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're 5 years old and you have a very unsavory experience with a woman. Let's say your teacher, maybe she yelled at you one day, and that deeply, deeply affected you. your brain is going to take a snapshot of that and say, wow, this woman made me feel really bad. And let's say you keep thinking about that because it was such a horrible experience that you don't even want to go to school the next day. The next time you see a woman, particularly if she looks like your teacher, your brain is going to say, woman equals bad. And depending on how you continue to dwell in the situation, you are going to develop subconsciously a very bad experience with women. You are going to compare the two and say women are mean and women make me feel bad. Now, maybe you won't remember these experiences, but throughout your life, you are going to approach women differently. You're going to automatically think of them as mean, and that may create a personality where you avoid women, where you hate women, where you despise women. But that all depends on how deep that experience was. Now, maybe there's a kid who gets yelled at by the teacher and he starts laughing. He thinks she's funny. He's not taking that personal. He couldn't care less. His experience with women are still going to be relatively positive, whereas yours will not. All of the experiences that you have turn into habits. Your brain is always taking these snapshots and it is creating a file to quote unquote keep you safe. Your brain is saying, okay, you had an amazing experience with that person. So you're going to automatically think of someone who looks like that person as a good person. And maybe that person is blonde. Maybe you had an amazing experience with a blonde person. They made you feel so good and they were so positive. Most likely, you're going to see other blondes as positive and good. So your brain is going to say blondes, good. And that is going to create a certain type of preference or a certain type of persona when you're around those individuals. Now, you have a whole lifetime of snapshots within your brain of dramatic experience, intense experience that you keep thinking about over and over and over again. And the more emotional these experiences are, the more your brain downloads this information and it becomes part of your personality. You're pretty much on autopilot. Your brain knows your habits. You've developed certain habits. Maybe you've had amazing experience with certain things and you gravitate towards that. The things that you have negativity towards, you avoid that. This relates to where you choose to work, where you choose to live, what restaurants you go to, what friends you choose. All subconscious. You don't even realize you're doing this. You're basically on autopilot. Your brain knows what you like to eat. It knows when you wake up every day. It knows what you dislike. It knows who to avoid. And it knows who to gravitate towards. Here's an example of being on autopilot. You get into your car in the morning, you put on your music, you drink your favorite coffee, and you somehow daydream and you're in a zone, but you end up at work. Your brain knows that route. It's like, oh yeah, go to the corner, make a left. Go to the light, make a right. Get on the highway, get off at this exit. Your brain already knows that you've done it over and over and over again. You've had that experience over again, getting into that car, thinking about that certain person, doing X, Y, and Z. Your brain has everything down. So all you have to do is get dressed and get in that car. You'll never get lost going to work. Your brain has already taken a snapshot and you will always end up in that same spot. Your whole entire personality is a collective of life experiences, and it just keeps looping itself over and over again. And this is why you'll notice day after day, month after month, year after year, you're pretty much in the same space. You have the same friends, you eat at the same place, you do the same things. Your brain knows you very well, and it guides you towards staying safe, which means familiar. And this is why once you start to want different things, maybe things that are completely out of your realm, your brain says, wait a minute, what are you doing? Your brain has programmed you so well that all of the little snapshots that you have of people have become your expectations. You are trained into expecting a specific type of personality out of someone. And this is why you can start to create conversations in your head about others that don't even exist. Your mom who was mean to you your whole life, your brain knows that personality. Your brain knows how deeply hurtful that has felt to you your whole entire life. So it can recreate different scenarios. Maybe in your mind, you're fighting with her. Maybe in your mind, you're getting into another argument. When you see this person, you start to have sensations and you feel negatively, and you can feel another argument erupting because you've downloaded that information and your brain just keeps giving it to you. It keeps looping that same experience and creating more. And this is really important to remember because a lot of what you think are memories are not even true. Some circumstances that have happened in your childhood, some of them aren't even real. I particularly discuss this in my workbook, Lovable, that when you're thinking about things, you have to think, was this really the situation? And that's challenging because for years you've already created more situations that were not even close to the original circumstance. For an example, having an experience with me, you guys already have a solid sense of what my personality is, the way that I speak, the things that I talk about, how I articulate myself, the information that I've given you, reading my books, knowing my upbringing and the experiences that I have. You have certain expectations of me. Your brain has taken a snapshot and said, this is who she is. Now imagine if I deviated from what you already think you know about me. What if I came on here and I was totally erratic and out of control? You're like, wait, who is this person? Is this a clone? This is not her. This is not the person that I have built in my mind. This is not what I've seen. It will throw you for a loop. You will feel very uncomfortable and say, why are you behaving that way? This is not what I'm familiar with. So the people that you've come to know, and I put that in quotations, you have already downloaded that first experience with them, and now you expect it. You expect the person who was mean to you to be mean. You expect that individual who used to bully you to be a bully. You expect the people that you grew up with who said mean things to you to say mean things to you. You expect it. You think about it. Your emotions are attached to those experiences. And you'll notice in your body, because your mind and your body is connected, that those experiences give you a certain sensation. Maybe you start to sweat. Maybe you get anxious around certain people. Maybe your blood pressure goes up. And this is the result of how certain experiences are lodged into your body. Every single day you're creating new files and your brain is taking a snapshot and it is downloading this information based on your past. Everything is based on what happened to you and it builds from there. So there's a very, very strong emotional basis. And this makes it really challenging to break this down and rebuild because your brain is going to fight to the death to keep everything familiar. Now, familiarity is great. We love familiarity. But when it's negative and you can't move on from there and attract the things that you want, it's a problem. So remember how I talked about having a woman teacher yell at you and you having a very strong emotional response to that. And now maybe you don't like women. So you grow up and maybe you want to get married and you want a wife. Uh-oh. Now we've run into a problem because on a subconscious level, you don't trust women, they are mean, and you don't like them. So how are you going to get married? How are you going to have a healthy relationship with a woman? How are you going to attract a girlfriend with those deep subconscious thoughts about women? Here's where the problems come in. Your brain will constantly create new files. This is why I say be careful with thinking about what happened to you in the past, because over a period of time, the story changes. I had this experience when I received a photograph of me at 7 years old with my sister and one of my brothers. And I just thought I knew the story. I was like, oh, this happened and that happened. She was like, no. That's not where the picture was taken. It was actually taken in this house when we lived there. And this was what it was. So I had created in my own mind a whole entire new story, which was not true. Think about all the things that you've created that aren't even real. And you've been living your whole life blocking blessings, blocking abundance based on something that is untrue. This is incredible, isn't it? So the conversations, when we talk about negative conversations that keep coming up, this is your brain just recreating what is familiar to you. Maybe you have a terrible relationship with a brother who has always contributed to your low self-esteem. In your head, your brain is going to create a conversation, maybe a fight, a brawl with this person that never even happened. And interesting enough, that still happens to me. And I've stopped myself and say, this is not even real. This would never happen to me. This didn't even happen. And I always have to say that aloud so I can override that new file that my brain is trying to download. So now that we know you're living on autopilot, you are living based on past experiences, snapshots that your brain have taken and downloaded files to keep you familiar. We know that you've been looping your whole entire life, and tomorrow you're going to do the same thing you did yesterday and the same thing you did before. Your brain has already predicted. Your brain is ready. Your body is ready to get up and repeat the same thing over and over and over again. The same thoughts, the same feelings, the same relationships or lack thereof. And now we're going to talk about how are we going to break this down, because what you guys don't want is to keep repeating a lot of the things that you've been doing for the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Now, some of it is great. The things that you want to keep, we don't have a problem with that, do we? But Pluto and Mars destroys what is unnecessary. So like I mentioned, if you have had a very deep, volatile relationship with women, that is going to inhibit you from getting in a healthy relationship and getting married, isn't it? Now what we want to do is break down those memories that you have in your brain that's telling you that women are evil, that women are bad, that women are terrible, because that type of thinking is not going to land you a wife. And if it does, it's not going to be a healthy situation. Let's go to my book, Rise from the Ashes, A Scorpio's Guide to Self-Esteem and Rebirth, because we're going to do some disrupting. We are going to crack some of those files and remove them, and we're going to replace it with new files. In my 45-day transformation, which starts on page 48 in the paperback, I explain to you how imperative it is to isolate yourself. And the reason I do that is because you don't have a strong footing. A lot of you are weak right now. You're on autopilot. You are susceptible to other people's conversations and advice. And Malika, what do I do? Malika, my mother said this. Malika, my cousin said this. You are weak. You don't have a strong footing. So it is imperative that you remove yourself from as much noise as possible. And that means people, place, and things that are familiar. And that means social media, where you have access to so many voices that can manipulate you and further create more snapshots and downloaded files that do not serve you. When we get to number 6, which is changing your narrative, that inner talk, that inner conversation, now we're going to disrupt your regular program, just like on TV. Remember back in the day, and I'm showing my age here, when there was some sort of commercial that said, we interrupt your normal programming to bring you this announcement. And you're like, wait, what's going on? My favorite TV show is on. We're gonna disrupt your subconscious patterns, and we're gonna introduce only the things that you want so that you can get what you desire on that vision board. Now, how are we gonna do that? If you are enjoying this conversation and you want to hear the entire session, please consider joining my membership, where you get access to over 80 private sessions. I talk about break down and rebuild, creating a strong self-concept, law of attraction, and astrology. You'll also get discounts on my books and my chart readings. I'll see you guys there.